Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 192, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fibernymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. Today is Thursday, March 3rd, and I'm coming to you with my pretty new cup. Emma and I went shopping Tuesday. We had a girls' day. We went shopping and went to lunch, and we went to the cooking apparatus store Sur La Table, or as we like to call it, Sur La Table. It's in this sort of high-endish shopping area. I love going in there because they've got really pretty things and tons of cooking gadgets and everything that I don't need. I figure I'm nearly 50 and I've gotten through my life without these gadgets and I've cooked just fine. I can probably continue. But you know, every once in a while I go in there and I just find something that is like, I have to have that. And so we went in there first. I saw these mugs and I said, I don't need any more mugs. I don't care how pretty they are. I don't need any more mugs. So we left, we went through the whole store, left, didn't buy anything, went to REI, walked through there, didn't buy anything. Actually, that's not true. I did buy one thing, but it wasn't even for me. It was for somebody else. I was picking it up for them. And then we left there, and then we went to Cheesecake Factory for lunch, and had lunch, which was really good, and cheesecake. And then we were walking back to the parking garage, and we have to walk past Sur La Table to get to the parking garage. And I made a right-hand turn. I'm like, I have to go in there and get those mugs. There was there was multiple ones in different colors, but there was only two of them in red, and they were in the clearance section. They were half off. So I bought two mugs that I don't need, but they're so pretty, and I love pedestal mugs. My first dishes that I had when I was first married was Fallscraft, like the original pattern. Yorktown? Is that what it was? I don't even remember now. It's been so long. But that came with like the regular cups and saucers, but they had pedestal mugs, and I had the pedestal mugs for that. I love those mugs. So I don't have those dishes anymore, but I now have a couple of pedestal mugs because they're fancy and they make my coffee seem fancier. I feel like I should be drinking my coffee with a French accent, wearing one of those big white Marie Antoinette wigs or something. I don't know. I'll just drink the coffee and I'll spare you the accent, and clearly I don't have the wig. So anyway. And my coffee's almost gone anyway. Sad. Wow. Talk about getting off on a tangent. Welcome. It's great to have you here. I hope you're having a good week. Are you? I can't believe it's Thursday already. I can't believe it's March already, frankly. Like, 2016 seems like it just got here, and now we're already into March. It's craziness. Anyway, whatever. It's going well. It's been a good year so far. I'm having a good year. I hope you are too. I want to say hi to some people who introduced themselves on the 90% Knitting board. We had Jen from Missouri, Pindall from Massachusetts, Lisa from the Netherlands, and Diane from Quebec. I just saw a music group on Saturday. We went to a concert. It's one of those folk concert, the folk concert series that I go to every month. Excuse me. I hope I didn't blow your ear out with that. And the group was called De Temps en Temps, and they play traditional, I don't even know how to describe it, traditional music of the area of Quebec. Quebecois, I'm really bad at those pronunciations, so I probably butchered that, but you know what I mean. It has kind of I want to say a little bit of a Celtic feel to it. A little bit of like the New Orleans Zydeco kind of feel to it. And they were actually talking, like they did this workshop before. I'm totally doing everything out of order. This should be in 10%, but we're going to go with it for right now. You know, they did this little workshop ahead of the concert, talking about the music and letting people ask questions and explaining the history of it, and, you know, what all went into the history of this music. And it was really interesting. And there are ties to, you know, Irish music and this, you know, the French and everything, which is why you have it in New Orleans. And anyway, I'm probably explaining that poorly, but it was a really, really good concert, and all of the songs were sung in French, which means aside from picking out nouns occasionally, I had absolutely no clue about what the songs were saying, but it was still a really good time. Very, very upbeat and rhythmic, and they were very audience interactive. I like bands like that. And it's cool music because they sit when they play their instruments. It was three guys. One played the guitar, one played the, well, he didn't just play the guitar. He played a couple of other string instruments too. Then there was a fiddle, and there was a guy who played the harmonica and accordion, not at the same time. Actually, he may have actually played it at the same time, now that I think about it. But they sit while they play most of the time, and they like do the percussion part with their feet. So they're like doing this rhythm. It's almost like step dancing, sitting down. And it was sort of the same rhythm. It looked like the same pattern their feet were doing with each song for the most part, but it was really cool. Anyway, I got started on that because of the whole Quebec thing, and Diane. Hi, Diane. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. So, okay. Anyway, and for those of you who haven't introduced yourself on the 90% Knitting Board, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you're new, thanks for checking the podcast out. If you've been coming back, thank you for that too. All right, I've got a lot of things to talk about and show you. I have some things to show you that I can't show you in person because they're not here anymore, but we'll just take it as it comes, okay? Oh, one other thing. You may notice that my background is somewhat different today. Not neat, not in a good way per se. It's getting there though. I'm working on it. Okay, there's backstory. My daughter's home from school on her term break or spring break, whatever. She was coming home last Friday. So when she's not here, I store a lot of crap in her room. Not crap, but like yarn stuff and business stuff. I kind of use her room as a holding place for a lot of things. Except when she's coming home, she kind of wants to be able to sleep in her bed and move around her room, you know. So I thought, okay, I've got to get all that stuff out of Emma's room before she gets home on Friday. So on Thursday last week, and I think it was after, oh no, I didn't record Thursday. I recorded earlier in the week. It's been over a week again since I've recorded. Anyway, after Thursday, I worked in the morning, and then I thought, you know what, I've got to clean, I've got to get that stuff out of her room. But this room has been a disaster because I've had it partially torn apart trying to get ready to reorganize stuff. Long story short, I know it's too late. I tore the heck out of this room. I have got over here, I can't show you, you can see a little bit these bins and boxes full of yarn. It's a hot mess over here. And over here is also sort of a hot mess, but it's a little bit more organized of a hot mess because this is a lot of the stuff that was in Emma's room, and I brought over here and just stacked it because it was already in boxes, and a lot of it was like paperwork and things I need to file, things like that. And then there's yarn, and then there's those white Rubbermaid drawer things that used to be, or Sterlite, not Rubbermaid, those drawer things that had been here that were becoming like the leaning tower of drawers over the last month or so. They're sitting on the floor, and there's just a whole bunch of other stuff. So what I did was, you know, here's my cubbies that, you know, it used to be my background whenever my desk was over at that end of the office. So you used to be able to see my two cubbies stacked up, right? Had all my yarn in it, my stash yarn, everything lovely. Great, yes. Well, I decided that I was going to rearrange and I was going to unstack them. So I would have them just both, you know, across the wall back there, and then the bins with the shop yarn would still be over here. Everything was just sort of shifted down. So I did that, and I pulled all of the yarn out of all of the cubbies. And then when I started trying to sort through and put things back in, I realized this really isn't going to work, because I had at least 2 full bins, like big Rubbermaid bins, of yarn that I've acquired in probably, I'd say, over the last 2 years, maybe not quite, last year and a half, that have never actually gotten housed in the cubbies because there wasn't room. Well, it quickly occurred to me I wasn't going to have enough room in these cubbies, and I needed to do something about it. So I'll show you what I did. I'm gonna move this, so hang on. Woo, there we go. Yeah, I bought a 3rd cubby unit. It just came yesterday. It was supposed to not even be here till next week because of how I had to order it. And here's the story behind this now, okay? I bought these two bottom units. I bought at Target several years ago. Gosh, I don't know, probably 6, 7 years ago now, at least. Yeah. Target doesn't carry them anymore. They carry them, but not in this color. This color is called Alder. They don't have this color anymore. They only had it, I think, in white and black. And every place else that I looked, white and black. And then there was like a really dark cherry kind of color. But nobody carried this light wood color. And I love this light wood color. So I finally found them on Amazon. Not being sold directly from Amazon, but through a seller that works through Amazon. It was more than twice as much as either the white or the black ones. Of course. So then I had this conundrum. Okay, do I spend an ungodly amount of money to get one more of these and have it match the other 3? Or do I get one in a different color, not have them match, which would have driven me absolutely crazy. That would have just pushed me. I couldn't have done that. Or do I buy 3 whole new units in either, I probably would have gotten them in white. Do I do that and then move these 2 existing cubbies somewhere else? I could have done that, except for the fact I don't really need cubbies anywhere else in my house. I don't have anywhere to go with them. They probably would have ended up downstairs. And that's not the greatest place for something like that. So I thought that's stupid. Plus, to have bought 3 whole new units definitely would have cost more than buying just the one seriously overpriced one that is, now I've realized, a discontinued color. They just don't make it anymore. And so what I found was like existing ones that were actually drop shipped directly from Closet Made, but I couldn't find them to buy them directly from Closet Made. I had to go through this other provider. So anyway, long story short, obviously I bought the one that matches, and I'm very happy with that choice, even though I had to spend more than I would have liked to. It matches, they all match, and they look nice. And once I get everything put back in there and organized, it's going to be so pretty and lovely. And my yarn and fiber should not be squished like it was in just those 2 for so long. Okay, I think I turned that too far. Whatever. So, this room is a giant work in progress, and I hope by next week, whenever I'm recording, I will be able to show it to you again, and it will be pretty and done and organized. That is my goal. Matter of fact, after I'm done recording today, I'm probably going to work on it some. I have a couple of other things I need to do, but this is going to get some attention today. So, anyway. That would be the explanation for why the background looks a little chaotic, just in a different way. My goal is to have my background just look very, very nice. I don't like it being cluttered. It's distracting, and I don't like that. So I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it. Please be patient with me. Anyway, I mean, it's not like it's a hardship to look at yarn, right? We all like looking at yarn. It's just whenever it's everywhere and, you know, there's my iron, it's still there too, and everything else. I don't know. Focus on me. Because I'm sparkly today. I went, well, Emma and I, we went shopping. We also ended up at the mall. Clothes are horrendous right now. You'll hear me say that occasionally. I either go shopping and I find lots of things that I like, or I find nothing. And this was more of a nothing kind of shopping trip. I found this one top that I'm wearing. It's just kind of a heathered gray t-shirty top, but it's got these glittery things on it. I don't usually do sparkly stuff, but for whatever reason, I was in the mood and I thought it looked cute, and it's a little dressier than I would ordinarily wear. Because I'm not from the South, and I don't mean that derogatorily, but I just know that women from the South can pull off sparkles and really big statement jewelry kind of looks and look fabulous. I can't. I just can't. I think you have to be from the South to do that. I don't know. I hope that was not offensive to anyone, because I did not at all mean it that way. I mean it in a way of reverence and awe, because I'm always impressed when there are women who can do that. And the ones that I have known have tended to be from the South. So I think there's a connection there. I don't know. Okay, we're going to start talking about knitting now, because it's almost 15 minutes in and I haven't even gotten to the knitting. It's going to be one of those days. Yes. All right. First off, finished objects. I have two. First one I can't show you because it's already been given to its recipient, and that is the pheasant socks, but I will put a picture of them in here. Yep, I got them done. I love them. The recipient loves them. He wore them the next day. My friend Bill gave them to him, and he had them on the next day, wore them to work. So he is definitely noteworthy. Anyway, I ended up with this much yarn left over, and this is about 36 grams. Now, this is not enough yarn to make me even, well, it's probably enough to make me one sock, but definitely not two. But I love this yarn so much, the striping pattern of it. I went ahead and I ordered a skein of, I believe it's this color, this orangey, burnt orangey, nutmeggy color. Matter of fact, it may be called nutmeg, from West Yorkshire Spinners. It's just a solid. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that order later. But I ordered that, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit myself a pair of shorty socks, and I'm going to use that solid for the cuffs, heels, and toes, and I'm going to use this for the foot part. I'm probably going to do those toe up because I don't like doing toe up socks, but I think that'll be the best way for me to be able to get the most out of this yarn. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to wind this into two separate balls ahead of time, just so that I know how far I can go with each sock. So that is my plan for that, because I don't want to waste any of this yarn. I absolutely love this striping pattern. And I love how those other socks turned out too. So anyway, yeah, that was one finished object. The other one was my sport weight socks, my blueberry waffle socks that I have been working on, and I'm sorry I did not take the time to put them on sock blockers for you, but they are finished. This is the blueberry waffles pattern, and the yarn that I used was the blueberry waffles pattern is by Sandy Turner. The pheasant socks I just did in a 2x1 rib. It wasn't anything fancy. The yarn is Spin Monkey's Tailspin Sport in the Sky Lantern colorway. I knit these on US 2.5s over 48 stitches, and I just did a regular heel flap and gusset, and I love them. I absolutely love this colorway. I have not knit sport weight socks in a while, and these are really nice squishy socks. They're going to be nice, heavy, around the house kind of socks. I could still wear them in shoes, I think, but only if it's cold, really cold. Otherwise, I think my feet would be too hot. But anyway, the socks are done, and I absolutely love them. So that's two big sock wins this week. That leaves two pair of socks on the needles that I'm actively working on. So let me share those with you here. I have to find which bag is which here. All right. I am still working on the first Nyan Cat sock, although I did make a good bit of progress. So, okay. This stitch marker is where I was last time, although there wasn't this big gaping hole. I was here. So I finished the rest of the foot and did the toe. And then I separated for the afterthought heel. I've only done like a round or two of the afterthought heel, but it's ready to go. I really wish I would have finished this before I recorded, because then I could just show it to you and it would be done. I'll tell you what, I love knitting these socks. This is my Fiber Nymph Dye Works Bedazzled Base in the Nyan Cat colorway. So it's this striping pattern for Nyan Cat, and then it always comes with the half skein of the navy yarn in the bedazzled for the sky, for heels and toes and everything. I think I'm getting really bored with just plain knitting. Like, this is all stockinette, and as much fun as it is to go from stripe to stripe to stripe, and it is, I love it, it's just not very challenging. So that's why those blueberry waffle socks were great, because at least it gave me something different to think about. Those pheasant socks, they were a 2x1 rib the whole time. Not a whole lot of challenge there. So I've made progress on these. But then the other pair of socks that I have are those Ardmore socks that I showed you, that I'd started before last week. And this is where I was last time. I obviously did not get very far past that, but these are just plain vanilla stockinette socks too. Now the only thing I did change, now again, this is the Ardmore colorway in my Bounce base. This was the colorway that I dyed up for the Celtic Collaboration Collection Club set that Ashley from Neely's Knits and I did. There's 2 of those sets left in the shop. I don't know. They're just hanging out waiting for the right people who want them. But she did a beautiful variegated colorway, and I did this striping colorway. And so you've got the green and the green of Ireland and the gray of the grayish brown of the rocks, and then you've got the blue of the sea, the Celtic Sea, and then you've got this variegated stripe in there of the orange and yellow gold of the flowers that were in the foreground of my inspiration picture. So anyway, okay, so I had most of this done last week, and I showed you that. What I did was I had those Sonix needles. Remember, I had purchased Sonix, and I was going to use the US ones. There's the Collage Sonix package. Use the US ones to do the foot because I knit the whole cuff in 1.5s and I want my foot to be tighter. So I did switch over to the Sonix, and I did I don't know, about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch maybe, using those, just so that I would be able to tell you something about them. If you remember last time I told you they had this strange little nubby bit here. I don't know how well you can see it. That connects the cable to the needle. There it is. And the large, like I bought them in the 1s and I bought them in size 6s. The size 6s also have that, but that nubby bit is on the inside of the needle. On the smaller ones, it's on the outside of the needle. And I was concerned that that was going to be a hang up, like as you're moving your yarn around. It's really not. I can feel it. I can feel it there, but it does not. Okay. Like when I'm going, there's one way when I'm sliding it that I can feel it more than the other. And like when the stitches are all here, going that way. When I'm going this way, it's fine. If I'm trying to push them this way, that last stitch kind of gets caught on the end of that nubby thing where it attaches to the cable. But it's not like snaggy catchy. It's just like I can feel it there, so I have to take a little bit of extra time to move it over that. It's not horrible, but it does slow me down a little bit. What I'm finding a little bit more distracting than that is the fact that these needles have the writing, and you're probably not going to be able to see this real well. Can you? Can you see that white writing on the needle? Maybe it's just sort of showing up as like a reflection, but it's actually the writing. And it says Collage Yarn, Sonix Needles, US 1/2.25 millimeter, 32 inch, yada, 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 made in USA. That's all on there. And it's only, nope, it's on both of them. Sorry. That is engraved somehow, and it's rough. Like I can feel it on the needle. Excuse me. The rest of the needle is smooth, but that area where that writing is, I can feel that. And that, it does not, again, it doesn't snag, but it does provide friction, a point of friction for the yarn. And that, again, sort of slows me down a little bit. I would not say that these are ever going to be my favorite needles. They're not horrible. Like I would knit with these. If my choice was these or signatures, I would choose these. If I had to choose between these and Chaigu for knitting socks, I would choose these for magic looping, definitely. Because the cable's great. The cable has a nice flexibility. Not a lot of memory, but it's not super saggy. And the points are fabulous. They're very, very sharp, nice points. They're like Hiya Sharps kind of points. I like that. They're not as deadly as signature stilettos though, which is a good thing. So I love the points. I love the cable. The needle, it's okay. It's not great, but it's only because of that engraving. If they were doing this, and I understand they probably want it on there so that it's not going to wipe off or rub off, because that's often the problem with needles, is you lose that information. But this little nubby thing, I don't know. I think it could be designed better, personally. But anyway, it's sort of a lukewarm review, I guess. But that's how I feel about them. It's not that I won't use them, but these will not be my go-to choice. My go-to choice for sock knitting will still remain my Hiya Sharps. I love them, which I did order some more of those this week and they came in, so I have more US ones now. So anyway, that's my other sock project that is on the needle. So I only have those two left, the Nyan Cat and these. So I'm knitting those two things, and then I'm still working on the garter bias wrap. I'm still in the straight section. I did work on it. I probably added, I'd say, about that much. I didn't bother bringing it in this week just because it doesn't look a whole lot different than it did when you saw it last week. So I'm just going to hang on to it, and I'll show it to you maybe next week if I work on it anymore. I did make progress on Lefty. I'm enjoying Lefty. It's taking me about 40 to 45 minutes to get through a repeat now, though, because these rows are getting so long. So let's see here. We're all tangled up. This is the Lefty pattern by Martina Bem. And I am using some undyed Bounce Base for my main color, and then the stripes and leaves are a color block set from Knitty & Color. So where is my, oh, I didn't have a stitch marker handy, so I just tied this little piece of yarn on here. This is where I was the last time you saw it. So I had done, let's see, 5, 10, 11, 12. I had done 13 stripes as of last time. I have 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 done now. And it's still coming along well. It's fun. I love it. I've been trying to do a section every morning, but obviously, seeing as I've only done 1, 2, 3, 4 more since the last time you saw it, that hasn't been happening. My hope was to get this done by the 15th of March. I don't think that's going to happen either. But you know what? That's okay, because it's a nice project to just pick up and work on, and I've had other things that I've wanted to work on. So I'm just kind of trading off. But it's a lot of garter stitch. Okay, so both socks I'm working on are all stockinette. This is a lot of garter stitch. Obviously, that bias wrap, the garter bias wrap, that is all garter stitch. I'm not really knitting anything that's giving me much of a challenge. And even things that I have like languishing on the needles, like none of them are super challenging. And so I cast on something because I'm thinking about things coming up. You know, on deck is that Adelaide shawl by Laura Ayler. I'm going to cast that on March 15th. That's my goal date to cast that on. But that's going to be, I do believe, a lot of garter stitch. You know, monkey socks, those would not be garter stitch. I told you last time I wanted to cast on monkeys. However, I've got to get at least one of these other pairs of socks done. And it's probably going to be the Nyan Cat. Those are the socks I'm going to put the most effort into right now because I would like to get them done so that I can ship them off to my daughter's roommate and they will be done. So I think I'm going to make myself be monogamous to those as far as socks go, at least for a while. So I needed something else. I needed something else, and I needed something to be a little bit more engaging and challenging and something to think about. And so I cast something on this morning. I have to find it. Where is it? Here it is. If you watch the Yarngasm podcast, you have probably heard about this or seen this or know that it was coming. But Kristen, who's the designer and dyer behind, well, she's the dyer behind Wool and Vine Yarns. She also designs patterns. She just released this week, I believe, her Wildemere shawl pattern, which means wild sea. And it is beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous. Not only is the shawl itself gorgeous, the pattern, oh my gosh, it is gorgeous. It's got all of these little graphics, these seashore kind of graphics included in it, and just her graphic design, and I'm assuming she's done her own graphic design work here. I mean, I can't really even show you a whole lot of them. Well, here's her abbreviations page. I'll show you this. But it's got a narwhal and a seahorse, and it's so pretty. The layout and the design of the pattern itself is very, very nice. And that just makes me happy. So anyway, I saw on Instagram that this was out, and I bought it. First thing this morning, I logged on and I bought it. And then I went shopping in my shop back here, and I pulled out a skein of Sunshine yarn. This is my Sunshine base, and this is the Brick Alley colorway. So it's a earthy kind of red, like an earthenware sort of red, a reddish brick red with gray overwash in certain spots. So you've got that kind of dirty brick look. And that's what I am knitting this out of. And I cast it on this morning. And this is definitely something that I have to pay attention because it's, you know, lace work. Now this is a textured eyelet pattern at the top part of it. And honestly, you can't really see much yet. Here, I'm doing this wrong anyway. I mean, it's very small, and I'm here. Let's see if I can find something to put behind it so that you can maybe see it a little bit better. Does that help? I don't know. There we go. That sort of shows it to you. So it's a textured eyelet pattern, and that is what the top part of the shawl is that textured eyelet. And then there's this lace area here, and then there is an applied border. Now I have not read the pattern thoroughly enough to know if the applied border is that entire lace panel at the bottom, or if it's just the bottom part of that lace. I think it's just the bottom part of the lace, but don't quote me on that. I could be completely wrong. And that's horrible that I did not bother reading it the whole way through, but you know what? Oh, here's an excellent picture of the whole pattern. Or of the whole pattern, yes. Here, let me show you the whole pattern of the whole shawl. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. If it would focus, it would be even better for you. Hello. There we go. Just stunning. So, you know, I probably needed another shawl on the needles like I needed a hole in the head, but I wanted to knit this. It's just such a pretty pattern. And I love Kristen. She is adorable, and I love her podcast, and her yarns are gorgeous. I thought about using one of her yarns that I have too, but I wanted to use one of mine because this way I can also use it as a display sample. It shows. And I love this color. I dyed this color a couple of shows ago, and it has not sold very much. I have it in the shop. I think I have it both in, there's a couple more skeins of Sunshine and in Lace Weight. It hasn't been that big of a seller. So I thought maybe if I knit with it and I could show people how it was going to knit up, that might help. So anyway, that is where that is. And I'm just very excited to be working on it, and I can't wait to make progress with it. It's a very, so far, it's a 4-row repeat that is going to be very intuitive after a while. I'm still at the point where I have to kind of look just to make sure I'm doing the right thing, at least on the first couple of rows. But then after that, I'm pretty sure it'll flow. So, oh, and the other thing is I am using another pair of the Sonics, the size 6s, 24-inch 6s. Now, what I can tell you on this is I'm not having that issue of that nub catching on here because the nub is on the inside of the needle part on the 6s. So that is going fine. No problem there. That writing is still causing enough friction that it feels like it's almost like, it's not like knitting with a bamboo needle. It's not that grabby, but it's definitely more grabby than knitting with a smooth metal needle. I only have one pair of carbons, and I know some people say that carbons are sort of grabby, and I don't use my carbons very much because they're, I think they're US ones, and I always feel like I'm going to snap them in half. So I can't really compare them that way, but I'm liking the US 6 Sonics in this application a little bit better than I was liking the sock size. So I may need to move off that Sonics needle eventually just because it's only 24 inches and I may need to go to something a little bit longer. So, but for now I'm going to use that just so that I can get the experience of knitting with those needles. So. Alrighty, that was that. I don't have anything else on deck because like I said, the Atalaya shawl is going to be coming up hopefully soon because I'm crazy. But again, I needed something that was a little spicier than all this stockinette and garter stitch, no matter how much I love the stockinette and garter stitch. I'm kind of breaking out of that phase of, because for so long, you know, January and February and even December, busy months for me. And my brain just could not deal with any knitting that was too intense. I needed the stockinette and garter stitch, but now I'm kind of to the point where things are a little bit calmer now, and now I would like a little bit more of a knitting challenge. So I think this shawl will fit the bill for that just right. Let's see. I even did a little bit of spinning this week. I did not bring that in to show you either because the bobbin is not full yet, but I did spin a little bit more on the second bobbin of that Briar Rose Fibers, that turquoise BFL that I had started spinning. So I have one full bobbin that you already saw, and then I have another bobbin that's at least 3/4 of the way full. Hopefully by next week it will be full. So I did make a little headway on that, and that's among one of my my colorways, or my fiber stash that, you know, my oldest fiber stash that I'm trying to spin through this year. So that's what that is. Let's see. Let's talk about the hand spun along. It's over. So I had a brain blip last week. I don't know why. I kept thinking that it was already March. Like 3 or 4 days last week, I'm like, oh, it's March 1st, and it wasn't. And so I knew it was leap year. So I knew we had 29 days in February, and yet for whatever reason on Monday, which was the 29th, I'm in there closing the FO thread, and it's like, okay, I'll do the drawing. And then I'm like, why am I closing this today? You can still post stuff today. So then I had to go back in and open it and say, whoops, sorry. I'll close it tomorrow. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you to everyone who took part in the hand spun along. You guys were so enthusiastic, and there was so much chatter in the chatter thread. That was so much fun. I wish I could have kept up with more of it, but like I said, busy. And I read through it all, but I didn't get a chance to post a whole lot. But I was really glad that you guys had fun with it. Your finished objects in the finished objects thread were fabulous. And I have drawn winners. Now, I'm going to show you the prizes again because I showed them last week, but I just want to show them again. And what I'm going to do, by the time this is posted, I will have a picture of all of these prizes in the hand spun along main thread, not the finished object thread, but the main chatter thread, because that thread's still open. I didn't lock that one. You guys can still chatter about your hand spun along projects for as long as you'd like. Please do. But like I told you last week, I'm doing 2 winners out of the finished objects thread. And I had told you I was also going to do a winner out of the chatter thread because there was so much chatter. Well, I looked at it today and I was like, there were so many posts in that. I decided to do 2 winners. So there are 4 winners total for the hand spun along. And I showed you last week a pool of prizes that winners, you get to choose. So when I tell you who the winners are and you hear your name, please PM me on Ravelry and tell me what your top 3 prize choices are. And whichever one is at the top of the list that has not been claimed yet, the highest in your priority list, that will be your prize. First come, first serve basis here, so I can't do anything about that. But I have both fiber and yarn prizes that you can pick from. So I'm going to show you the fiber first. This is some roving from New Hue Handspun. And this is some of her Angora Merino, which it's 80% Merino, 20% Angora. And this is in the Alexandria colorway, approximately 2 ounces. This is her Bunny Patch fiber. Really, really pretty colors. I actually have 2 of these. So these are 2 separate prizes. So 2 people could choose these if they wanted. That's one of the fiber prizes. One of the fiber prizes is a bullseye bump from Loop. And this is called Blood Orange. It's a 4.5 ounce bump with Merino, Corriedale, Bamboo, Tussis Silk, and Angelina. And I kind of opened this up for you last week to see all the colors. It goes from this purpley red to another red to a brown to another red to white on the outside. And it's got like this gold stellene. Is it gold stellene? Yeah, like this gold tone Angelina, I guess. What did I say? Angelina. So anyway. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Love this. But I've got so many loop bumps. I want to share the goodness with y'all. So you can choose that. The other fiber prize is a skein of Tempted fiber. This is 50% alpaca, 30% merino, 20% silk roving. And it's called Sex and Candy. Is the colorway. Pretty, pretty blues and pinks and purples. And some undyed areas, so it's really soft and lovely. It's There is no ounces on here that I can see. I'm going to guess it's probably about a 4-ounce braid, though, I believe. This was one of her club colorways whenever I was in one of her fiber clubs. I'm giving it up just because alpaca is not one of my favorite fibers to spin. Some people love it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not one of my favorites. So that's why, since I've got a ton of fiber, I want to share. But alpaca merino silk would probably be a very, very nice spin, and it's really soft. There is like no itch factor to this at all. So some less than well prepared alpacas can be a little itchy sometimes, but there's absolutely no itchiness to this. I could wear this around my neck. I won't though, because it's a prize. So those are the 4 fiber prize options. Yarn-wise, we've got a skein of the Fiber Company Tundra, which is a bulky weight yarn in the Boreal colorway. This is really pretty. I had 2 skeins of this. I made Emma a hat out of one of them, and it's really soft. So I want the other one to have a good home. So that's one prize. Another is from Zarzulia's Fibers. She is no longer dyeing, so this is like a one-of-a-kind probably out there. I don't know how many of these there are. It's a worsted weight, 200 yards, 100% superwash merino in the Dahlia colorway. This would make a great hat or mittens or something. It's just so bright and cheerful. So that's one. Then there's a skein of Highland Handmaid's Red Maple Sock in the Grit colorway. This was also a club colorway from when we did the trifecta of awesome yarn and fiber club. I love Heather, and her yarn is fabulous. This is a 50% superwash merino, 50% tencel blend, which again is not one of my favorite yarns to work with. The colors, though, are fantastic, and I would just like it to be shared with someone who would enjoy it, working with it a little bit more than I would. So anyway, that's up for grabs. And lastly, the last yarn prize is a set of Drops Fauble print self-striping, self-patterning yarn. It's the 2 50-gram balls. And like I said, I knit a pair of shorty socks out of one ball. Like, I didn't even use the whole ball for shorty socks. But I'm going to pass these on to somebody else if you would like to give it a try. So, anyway, those are the 8 prizes. So there's 4 winners, 8 prizes. So theoretically, you could each choose yarn or you could each choose fiber, and hopefully that works out for you. But let me tell you who the winners are, huh? How about if I do that? As far as the finished object thread, the first winner, well, let me see. Okay, wait, let me go to the thread. Boy, I'm all over the place with this today. The finished object thread, there had been 54 posts, which means there were 53 entries. And I pulled 2 winners by random number generator. So the first winner was number 24. And number 24 is Sheila O'Keefe, who is Sheila. So congratulations, Sheila. Sheila is from Oregon. And she posted a very pretty Virginia City cloche and cowl out of some hand spun that her sister gave her. She wasn't real sure what the fiber was, but she said mainly wool with a little bit of sparkle. So anyway, congratulations, Sheila. Thank you for knitting. So please PM me, or private message me on Ravelry. List your top 3 top 3 prize choices, and whichever one is closest to the top of your list and still available when I get your message, that is yours. So yay, congratulations. The second one was post number 2, and that does not happen very often, that the actual first post after the thread opens gets a prize, but you lucked out. So that was Emily Marianne, who is Emily from Indiana. So congratulations, Emily. She said her friend Anna spun this gorgeous fluffy fiber and she won it in a swap, and she made a really cute hat with it, and it looks very, very cozy. So congratulations, Anna. Same thing, please PM me with your top 3 choices as far as prizes go, and whichever one is available first on your list, I will send that one to you. So, and whenever you're sending me your prize choices, also send me your mailing address, people, please. I need that. Okay, so that was from the finished objects thread, and thank you to everybody who submitted finished objects. That was awesome. Now from the chatter thread, Oh, wait. You know what? Did I do that backwards? Hang on a second. No, I didn't do that backwards. I don't think. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm discombobulated now. This is what happens when you have too many windows open at the same time. I did the same thing yesterday. I was trying to post something in this group, and I ended up posting it in the Fiber and Dyeworks group. Then I had to close that and open it here. Okay, hand spun along. Here's the chatter thread. Okay, so I drew 2 prize winners from the chatter thread, and the first one was number 29, who is Super Crafty Girl, and that is Andrea. I need to get to her post. Yeah, Andrea, Super Crafty Girl, and she posted a picture of the yarn that she was going to be using. She said, I'm going to use my first fractal spun for this. It's about 140 yards of a 100% merino between a DK and a worsted weight. And she was taking pattern suggestions at that point. So anyway, congratulations, Andrea. Please PM me again with your top 3 prize choices and your address, and we'll get one out to you. Lastly, the other chatter thread winner was number 165. Get to that. Last page. It was actually one of the last entries. Number 165 is Angela678, who is Angela, and she is from Canada. She posted, oh boy, a pair of convertible mittens that were from alpaca and wool. And she's already been using them. Oh, she left her mittens and hat on the bus. I'm reading fast because this is kind of long. I don't want to have to read it all day. Oh, she got it. They came back. So yay, she ran out and rescued her hat and mittens. I'm so glad that they weren't lost. Alrighty. And then she also showed the hat. So anyway, congratulations, Angela. Please, again, PM me with your top 3 prize choices, and I will hopefully be able to get one of those to you. On the off chance that one of you writes to me and all of your choices have been chosen already, I will let you know, and then you can send me another round of options. So, anyway, there we go. That was fun. That hand spun along was a lot of fun, and I just so appreciate how much, you know, participation everybody put in, both to the finished objects as well as, you know, just the chatter and talking to one another about everything. It was a lot of fun. So I would love to see that continue with our future knit-alongs. It's just a nice community, you know, to have doing that. And speaking of other knit-alongs, our unofficial Laura Ayler knit-along is going to start. It started now. I put the thread up. That's the one I said I accidentally put up in the other group. But it started now. I'm just going to, real quick, the general scoop for that is there really are no guidelines because it's an unofficial Laura Ayler knit-along. Basically, you can already be working on a Laura Ayler. I'm going to say Laura because I can't pronounce her last name quickly. You can be working on one of Laura's projects already, one of her patterns. You could start a new one. It doesn't matter. Just knit along. Show us what you're doing. We want to see. It can be either the Atalaya shawl that Melissa and I both want to do, or it can be any one of her other patterns. It doesn't matter. She's got 119 patterns listed on Ravelry, so plenty to choose from. I know Melissa's currently doing the first point of Libra. PA Knitwit here, Sarah, she has posted her first point of Libra that she's working on, which is gorgeous. So yeah, please join in for that. Just choose a pattern and knit along with us. There's really no end date, no official end date to the CAB. We'll just kind of keep going and keep having chatter as long as people are interested in it. Melissa will have a thread over in her group too eventually. I don't think she has one up yet, but she will. Post your in progress pictures, post your finished object pictures, chatter all you want. It's all good. I originally didn't think I would do prizes since it was going to be unofficial, but you know what? I may end up just doing prizes for fun along the way. Who knows? Or maybe when we do finally decide it's kind of over, whatever. The main thing is let's just have some fun knitting some really wonderful stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm doing this now because with the hand spun along over, I have no plans to start another official knit along anytime soon. So for right now, we're going to just do that Laura Ayler knit along. And then in time, I will start another official knit along, but not right now. We're just going to have a nice, relaxed, easygoing knit along. Let's see, new things aside from the Wildesmere shawl pattern. And I told you I ordered some Hiya Sharps in US 1, so I have 2 more pairs of those that I can obviously need to cast on more socks now. I ordered those from the Loopy U. I don't have anything else new to show you, but within the next week or 2 I will, because I did some damage last night. Brit Yarn had an update. Well, Brit Yarn is a shop. It's not really like an indie dyer. We don't where we do updates here and there. But if you've heard about the new Blacker Yarns Tamar yarn, it was released yesterday, and I meant to pull this up to tell you about it. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I have been kind of stalking this because it's a really interesting yarn. Oh boy, let me see if I can find it real fast. I'm sorry. I meant to have it up, but that was like one more window. Okay, so Tamar, it's named after a river, is a beautiful new yarn spun from the fleeces of some of our country's most distinctive and rare long wool sheep breeds. So we're talking about in the UK, in England, I guess. Britain. I'm so bad. I'm sorry. Added to this lustrous blend is Cornish mule lamb's fleece to give additional woolly bounce. The yarn has the sheen, shine, and drape reflecting the yarn's namesake river. Each of the 17 shades is named after a tributary of the river Tamar. And then it just points out that Ottery and Gwendra are undyed colors. So, you know, this is happening. It was going live. It was, you know, on the 3rd, which in England, that's 5 hours ahead. Great Britain's 5 hours ahead of us here on the East Coast in the US. I had an alarm set on my phone because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know these yarns are just going to sell out. Like now, they're going to go really, really fast. Because I pictured all of Great Britain and Europe like stocking this as much as I was. So I was out to dinner with my family, Bill and the kids and I. We all went out to dinner last night. I knew we weren't going to be home in time, so I had an alarm set on my phone. And right at 7, it was like 2 minutes to 7, I'm like, I need to get on here. I like made everybody, I'm like, shh, I need to do this. So I'm on my phone and I am stalking this. And I got to the page and there was only one yarn showing up at that point. I'm like, oh, she's starting to put it up. And I'm like actually flapping. I'm like, oh, it's going up. It's going up. And, you know, my kids are like, okay, yeah, mom's going crazy over yarn again. Bill has not seen me do this before yet. So this was a new experience for him. And he's just sort of laughing. He's like, whatever, you know. It was sort of amusing. But anyway, then I kept refreshing it, and oh my gosh, then there were 2 whole rows of colors. I'm like, oh, they're there. And then I'm like clicking on them and trying to look at the colors real fast because you could only see the colors in one big picture on the website. Up until that point, the individual colors were not, you know, revealed yet in specific. So like I'm clicking on all of them and I'm looking at the colors and looking at the names, and then I went back and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other row of yarns because it escaped me that there were 17 shades, even though it said that in the write-up. I ordered 5. I did not intend to order 5, but I got caught up in the yarn fumes coming through my phone from over in Great Britain. And then I also ended up ordering a skein of North Ronaldsay yarn because it's there and I've wanted to try it, and a couple skeins of the solid West Yorkshire Spinner sock yarn to go with this, and also a gray that will go with this and a couple of the other colors that I have. So that'll get a lot of use. Yeah. When you factor the conversion rate between the pound and the dollar, I haven't spent that much on yarn in one fell swoop in a long, long, long time. I don't do that anymore because I've got yarn. My gosh, look behind me, people. You can see all the yarn. Well, you can't right now, but you will be able to next week. It's not like I need a ton of yarn, but this yarn is just so unique in its makeup. It's, you know, the different fibers that are in it. I just couldn't not get it. So yeah. Did I read what it is? I don't think I read the content. It's a blend of Wensleydale, Teeswater, Cotswold, and Black Leicester Longwool with 30% Cornish mule. Now, I am not 100% sure what Cornish mule is. I know it's not like a mule. It's something else, sheepy related, and I need to look that up, and I'll try to figure that out before I show you the yarn once it finally gets here. But yeah, I'm just super stoked about this. It's a finger and weight yarn, 380 yards. Honestly, I don't even know if the colors that I bought will go together for anything because I was just like running on adrenaline ordering this yarn. And by the time we got home from dinner, I looked in the shop again and like I was the only person who had purchased yarn by that point, I think. Because now looking at it now, definitely more people have purchased it, and there are some that are selling out more quickly than others. But if you are interested in really unique kind of yarns from Great Britain, I would highly encourage you to go to the Brit Yarn website. It's brityarn.co.uk. So brityarn.co.uk. And look for it. It's called Blacker Yarns Tamar, Tamar. So check it out. Lots of good stuff. And you know what? The other thing, I can't feel too bad. You know, I even said that to Bill. I said, you know what? I don't splurge like this very often, but every once in a while, he's like, you totally deserve it. You work hard, you know? I'm like, thank you. See, that's another good thing. He's not only knitworthy, but he understands the desire and the need to splurge occasionally. You know, but he's like, if you're ordering from Britain, my gosh, for the shipping, you might as well take advantage of it. I'm like, exactly. So, anyway. All right. That's new stuff that I don't even have yet, and I've told you all about it. But I'm really, really excited about it. I was so pumped. Gosh, it's just crazy. Alrighty. New podcasts. I have watched a bunch of new podcasts this week because I keep hearing about them on other podcasts. It's like, I need to check these out. So I got to watch Hugh Loco with Nicole. She's very adorable. She's a dyer. Her podcast was very cute. Inside Number 23 with Katie. Everybody pronounces her name Katie because that's how she pronounces it. She is lovely and very dynamic, and I very much enjoyed watching her podcast. I did not watch the most recent one. I think I watched the one right before it, but that was really fun. Then I watched Sticks Plus Twine with Eric, he's a Canadian podcaster, and I've been hearing about him on several podcasts, so I finally decided to check him out. I watched his most recent episode, and then I went back and watched his first episode, and they were both really fun. And I always love watching male knitters because it's a different perspective, and it was great. So really enjoyed Eric. And then lastly, I watched The Knitting Type with Sarah. And this was her first episode. She's only got one out as of right now, unless she put one up since I looked earlier today. Oh my gosh. I loved her podcast. I just can't even describe. She's podcasting by herself, which a lot of us do. And actually, all of these people are podcasting by themselves. But I could relate to her style because she's kind of, I don't want to say she's all over the place because that sounds like a bad thing because she's not. But she was just, at certain points, it was almost like she's very stream of consciousness in what she's saying, even though she had notes. And then she spilled water at one point, and she's like, oh, water. But it was like none of it shook her. And she was very well poised and very conversational and very at ease in front of the camera, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So that's The Knitting Type, Type, with Sarah, and she just was cute and really enjoyed her. So those four I would highly recommend you checking out if you're looking for some new podcasts. There's so many new podcasts out there. You can't keep up, but that's so cool because it's like this whole entire virtual community that we have, and yet you can get to know these people. So it's not completely virtual. You know what I mean? I know you know what I mean. This is why we watch podcasts, because it is a part of our knitting community, and it's how we connect with one another. It's one big way of how a lot of us connect with other people. So, all right. The only other thing I was going to mention knitting-wise is I read this very cool article that someone posted on Facebook, and that's where I found it, it's a historical kind of article about the Vikings and wool and their connection. It was really interesting, and I will put a link in the show notes to that article if you're interested in reading that. That was just a very cool little read. Otherwise, let's go into 10%. I made it through February. Yay! You know that Kermit the Frog, how Kermit used to go, yay, on the Muppet Show? That's what I feel like doing because I lived through February. I got my wholesale order out on time, which is always a coup. I mean, not like I ever try to be late or think I'm going to be late, but it's like when I can manage to get those huge wholesale orders out on time or even ahead of time, I feel like I'm doing a great job. So I did, got the wholesale order out. I got a bunch of other things done that I needed to get done. Emma came home last Friday, so it's been great having her here. Like I said, we went to that concert Saturday night. That was a lot of fun. As far as, like, I feel like I just have a breathing time. I mean, I still have a lot of work to do, but it's just at a much more reduced stress pace right now, which is good. So I'm trying to take advantage of that and sort of work on scheduling things so that I can work ahead for some other things so that they won't end up being high stress things. I never leave stuff to the very last minute work-wise. I'm pretty good about that. But I know that there are ways that I could improve and work smarter, just work smarter. You know, we're all like that, right? We all look for ways that we can work smarter. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Reading and listening. I did finish The Firebird by Susanna Kearsley. Loved it. It was really good. There is another book. She has another book out with kind of the Jacobite theme in it. So I have the feeling it may somehow tie in with this other storyline that keeps cropping up. Well, that cropped up in this book that was related to her first book. That would be my guess. It's really funny. I looked on Audible and like all of the reviews are like, the book was great, but read the actual paper book because the narrator is horrible. Her voice is annoying. And I'm like, really? And I looked and the narrator's the same narrator that read this book that I just listened to. And I didn't have a problem with her. I thought her accents were really good. And people were like cutting her up for her accents and everything. So I don't know. I'll get that eventually. But I did, in the meantime, download Paddle Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman. I was kind of in the mood for some nonfiction. Nick Offerman played Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec, he was one of my favorite characters on that show. And Nick Offerman as a person has similarities to Ron Swanson, but he's definitely not Ron Swanson. I'm enjoying the book. And he reads it, which is great because he's got a great voice. Very deadpan, dry humor, too. But he's very in your face with a lot of his views. Now, this is sort of a memoir-y kind of book, so it's about, you know, his views. And a lot of them I can get on board with. Some of them I don't like to say I'm getting offended because I think it's a choice to be offended or not offended. You know, if something's offensive to you, then just don't pay attention to it. Man, too much good stuff in the world to worry about things that offend you. But it's just, I think it's more his delivery of the things that he's saying. It's like, really? Do you have to be that rude about it? You know, but whatever. It's his book. He can do whatever he wants. So I'm not hating it or anything. I am enjoying the book. I would put out there the caveat that if you are easily offended by things having to do with religion or sex, it's probably not the book for you, especially if you're offended easily by things that link religion and sex as topics. That probably sounds really weird and bad maybe, but yeah. Don't listen to that book if those are things you prefer to not listen to or you can get easily offended by. Anyway, finally, my last thing on my 10% was that I'm reorganizing my office, but we already talked about that, so I won't talk about it anymore. I do want to move into just shop news real quickly. There is no update this week. The next shop update will be on Friday, March 11th, so a week from tomorrow will be the next shop update, and that will be at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm thinking about trying to go back to Fridays for my regular update days. I used to update on Friday all the time, and then it moved. I'm probably not going to say that, though, because then something's going to happen, and I'm not going to update on a Friday and everything. But Fridays seem to be good days to do updates. So for right now, Friday, March 11th is going to be an update day, 3 p.m. Eastern. I will show you the preview stuff next week because I plan to record again next Thursday. So everything will be ready to show you by then. I can show you, however, one new thing that I'm going to have in my shop update that I've never had before. I started making stitch markers. The reason I started making them was because when I do Pi Day yarn colors, which by the way, if you pre-order Pi Day, it's all dyed and ready to go out. It's going to go in the mail to you tomorrow. So you're getting it or even earlier than I said you were, because I had said it would ship by March 9th. It's shipping by the 4th. So there you go. I love it when I can do things ahead of time. Anyway, I always tie a stitch marker to the beginning of the end of the yarn that starts the 3 in the numeric sequence, because the stripes go according to the numeric sequence in pi. So 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. So the end that starts with the 3, I affix a stitch marker to, so that if you're knitting with it, you can choose to start with the 3 and knit in sequence if you want to. But that meant that I needed stitch markers for that purpose, and so I was pilfering stitch markers from my own stitch marker stash, which is fine because I have a lot, but then it's like, okay, I'm going to run out of stitch markers eventually if I keep doing that. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make some stitch markers for that purpose, and so I did, but in the process of doing that, I was like, this is so much fun. I really like that. So I decided I was going to make some sets of stitch markers, and so I did. So I'm not sure how easy these are going to be to see the way I have them on my business cards. And I'm trying to get it to focus because it, again, wants to focus on me. There we go. So I'm making these as sets of 8 stitch markers plus 1 progress keeper with the little lobster claw. Yeah, it's my own thing. I mean, obviously the little beaded stitch markers, I mean, those are pretty out there, you know, they're my favorite type of stitch marker, frankly. I love the little beaded stitch markers, like the rings with the bead on them. The dangly, the progress keeper, that is my own thing. It's still a beaded ring, but that's what I have the lobster claw on, and then I'm doing my jewelry wiring to put on the little dangly bit, and this one has a little sunshine bead on it. I have some that have a little Celtic knot bead on it. That one does not have the wrapped. It just has a little wire jump ring holding it on. I took jewelry classes a long time ago, and then I bought like all the tools to do jewelry, but then I never really did jewelry. So now it's like I can use those jewelry tools that I bought to do this. This is awesome. I love it whenever I find a reason to use things that I spent money on a long time ago and then never actually followed up on. So anyway, I'm just sort of having fun with this. I'm just gonna, you know, I don't know how often I'll make these and put them in the shop, but I will put them in the shop. So they'll have 8 stitch markers and 1 progress keeper with each set. Yeah, just gonna have fun with it for right now. So anyway, there will be some of those in the shop. Those aren't the only 2 sets I have. They're just the only 2 sets I put on cards so far. Other than that, there will be sock blanks next week. People have been emailing me and ask, are you going to have more sock blanks? Yes, I am. So there will be sock blanks, and I'm hoping to have a whole bunch of 7 Deadly Sins on different bases as well. So those are things I know I'm planning to have. There may be other stuff. In the meantime, as I said, there are 2 of the St. Patrick's themed Celtic yarn sets that Ashley and I did left in the shop. So first come, first serve. Once they're gone, they're gone. We're not doing those colorways again for quite a while. So they're in there. And then the February minis of the month are out. People have received them. March is our last month. And the March ones are going up for pre-sale on Monday, March 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I want to show them to you. Here they are. I decided to call this final month, this last month, Grand Finale. That is the striping pattern. And even though March is not really a fireworksy kind of month, that was my inspiration because I just couldn't get that theme of the Grand Finale. It's the last set. So this is a 5-stripe colorway with all these fabulous, bright, fireworksy colors. And then the semi-solid is a bright, it's not a navy and it's not a royal blue. It's kind of in between, but it's a bright night sky blue is what I'm calling it. So these will be the sets up for pre-order in the shop on Monday, the 7th at 9 a.m. And just thank you so much for you know, your interest in the minis all over this past year. It's been a lot of fun doing it. I'm ready to be done doing it just because I'm ready to move on to new things, but I really enjoyed doing these, and I love the fact that there were people who ordered them every single month, and that you guys clearly have I'm assuming you have some projects, like I know Melissa's doing those Afghan squares with all of them, and I don't know if other people are doing specific things with them, but it was really fun to know that there were people following and wanting to get those every month. So thank you for that. The next thing coming up, though, the next big thing, I guess you could say, is the fact that the Knitter's Choice Sock Blank Club. I alluded to this last week, I believe. I told you a little bit about it. I'm getting ready to put information up. It will be in the Fibernymph Dye Works group, not in the 90% Knitting group, just because it's a shop-oriented thing. But basically, here's the basic scoop. Number one, it's a Knitter's Choice Club, so you know anytime I do my Knitter's Choice Clubs, there's always options, lots of options for you. So the first choice that you're going to have, I'll do this. The first choice you're going to have is what kind of sock blank do you want? I have my Happenstance sock blanks that are just superwash merino and nylon. Then I have the Happenstance with sparkle sock blanks that are superwash merino, nylon, and stellina. So you can choose to get all three of your club blanks plain or all three with sparkle. Or I'm also giving the option of getting one shipment plain and 2 with sparkle, or 1 shipment with sparkle, 2 plain. If you pick one of those options, it's dyer's choice which ones you get in which base, just so you know that. But I wanted to be able to give you that option, so you can mix and match or just get them all in one. I will have the pricing on the in the thread. As always, I give you the choice of either paying per shipment, or you can pay for all 3 in advance and you get a 10% discount on the sock blanks themselves. The shipping you don't get a break on. It's just my standard shipping charges, and I have to pay the post office, so there's no break on that. But all of those will be in the post as well. The dates I was going to do these. I was originally going to do these every other month. But then I started looking at my calendar and spacing these things out, and I realized there's really no reason for me to do that. So this is going to be a 3-month club, but the shipments are going to be spaced out approximately a little over a month apart. I would say about 5 weeks apart. So the first one, the payment will be due March 31st. They'll ship April 7th, the week of April 17th. Then you'll have a couple weeks before the next payment's due. Then the next shipment will go out in May, the week of May 22nd. And then the last payment will be due a couple weeks after that, with the last shipment going out the end of June, the week of June 30th. Or June 30th is in the middle of the week. I don't know, the week of whatever that week is. And again, all of that information will be in the Knitter's Choice Sock Blank Club post. But I'm just trying to give you a general idea. So sign up. There will be 25 spots available. Sign-ups will open on Wednesday, March 16th at 9 a.m. I will leave sign-ups open for a week. And so they will close the following Wednesday at 9 a.m., which is the 23rd. If there are more than 25 people sign up, then I will do a random number generator to choose members. And everybody will get notified probably within a day. I try to get that out really fast so you know if you're in it or not. There will be, like I said, I'm going to put the thread in the Fibernymph Dye Works group telling you about the club. On the morning of the 16th, I will add the sign up link. So go to there. The only way you can sign up for this is to go there, click on the sign up link, and it will take you to a Google form that you need to fill out, and that will be how you sign up for the club. So I hope that all makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in that thread, and I will link that thread in the show notes as well, so that you'll be able to know where to find that. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to that. And the other thing about the sock club is it's 3 different shipments, but each month is going to be a different dyeing technique. So the sock blanks are all going to be dyed differently each of those 3 months. The other thing to keep in mind is, the other choice you have is if there's one color that you absolutely despise and don't want it in any of your sock blanks, you have the option of telling me that, and I will keep that color out of your specific sock blank. However, keep in mind that sometimes multiple colors in a sock blank will come together and they may cause a type of that color to occur that I can't control, but I will not specifically put that. Like if you say I hate yellow, don't use yellow, I will not use yellow in your sock blank, but just know that, you know, like if I use an orange in a lighter area, it may fade to yellow or something, you know what I mean? So okay, so that's another choice. The other thing is the fact that, you know what, sock blanks, even if I use the exact same colors in the exact same ways, no two sock blanks are ever going to look alike. So in essence, you're getting a unique item with this club. You know, that sock blank that you get every month is going to be unique to you. Nobody is going to have that exact same sock blank. And when you knit it up, it's going to look completely different. Or vastly different anyway, even if I would use the same colors in the same way. So anyway, I am really looking forward to doing this club. I haven't done a club since last year's 6-stripe sock yarn club, and I'm ready to do another club now. So I really hope you guys are looking forward to this as much as I am. But again, signups will go up, go live March 16th. I will remind you of that next week when I record, and but you can be looking for the thread. Hopefully by the time I get this up, I will have that thread up in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. So, okay, I think that is everything. I hope it is, because this is running long. Yeah, that's everything. I'm going to go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.